guys, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share with you a book haul. I went to a library sale today, and it was fabulous. It's my favorite library sale to go to, and it only happens twice a year at this really big library near where I live. And yeah, I got some books, so I'm just gonna dive right in because I have a lot of books here. So the first few books that I got are actually books I've already read, but I wanted to get copies to have on my shelves because I either really enjoyed them and just wanted copies and didn't have them, or because I read them so long ago that I want to reread them because I don't remember anything about them. The first book that I'm going to mention is one of those books, and that is The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. This is a classic that I read when I was in, I want to say middle school. I was probably in like 7th grade. My teacher and my mother conspired against me and made me read this book for a book report. And I think for that reason, I don't remember liking it at all. And I think it's because I was forced to read it. So I want to give it another shot and see if I will like it better now that I'm going to read it on my own terms. So we shall see, but it is a classic about this Chinese husband and wife. They are farmers and they are living in the, I want to say it's like the late 1800s, but it spans like 40 or 50 years or something in China, and kind of the ways in which China changed during that time period, if I remember correctly, which I don't remember much at all about this book. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one another go eventually and see how I like it. Another one that I read many years ago when I was in high school that I want to reread because, again, I don't really remember anything about it except that I liked it was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I read this, I want to say my junior year of high school, and I remember really liking it. I don't remember anything about it except that it is a like coming of age story about a girl named Francie. She's growing up in Brooklyn, New York. So that's all I know, guys. So I'm going to, like I said, give this one another go just because I don't remember much about it except that I liked it. So I want to reread it and see if I still feel the same way. Okay, the next 3 books are books that I am either replacing that I had on my shelves, I'm kind of upgrading my editions, or I wanted them because I don't have physical copies and just wanted them on my shelves. The first one being Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. This is one of my favorite nonfiction books of all time, and the copy that I have is a very battered mass market paperback because I've read it and then it kind of worked its way through my family. A lot of, like, my mom passed it to my grandma passed it on to my aunt, and so forth. So it's very battered and beat up, so I wanted to kind of upgrade my copy. And I tend to prefer this size paperback anyway, so yes, this is one that, again, though, I will definitely reread because I love this book. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a memoir by Frank McCourt about his life growing up in Ireland, and yeah, it's fantastic. The next book I found, I could not believe I found this at a library book sale, and when I saw it, I grabbed it right up, and that is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I have this on my Kindle, and I read it last year and really, really liked it a lot. It was really fun, and this cover, I had to get it when I saw that the library had this, because this cover is just the coolest. It looks like an old VHS tape, like cassette tape, like an old kind of horror movie VHS tape, and so I just had to get it. This book was a lot of fun. It's about 2 best friends who, one of them, after a bad bout with some, I think it was mushrooms or acid, I can't remember. They did one of those drugs, and afterwards one of them starts acting very strangely, and the main character thinks that her friend is possessed by a demon and decides that an exorcism has to happen. So super fun. Loved this book. It was great, and I wanted this to put on my shelves. And then the last one that I have that I've already read but wanted to have a copy is The Help by Catherine Stockett. And this was one that I read quite a few years ago, but I had borrowed a copy from my friend, and I really, really enjoyed this. And it's one that I think I will revisit because I liked it so much. It is about a young woman who is a reporter, and she starts working on a book about the African American workers in her town that work for the more like kind of middle upper class families, and the ways in which though they are treated by those families, and their really their importance in the raising of the children and things like that. So it deals a lot with race issues and things like that. It's heartfelt but also funny, and I really loved this book, so I decided, I keep seeing it at book sales, and because there's always a ton of copies, so I decided I'm just going to get it so that I can have it for my shelves, and I will hopefully revisit it sometime in the future. Okay, my next stack of books are all books that I have not read. So, the first one I picked up was Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay. This is a retelling of Jane Eyre, in which Jane Eyre is a serial killer. I mean, that sounds very interesting. I think it's really funny because like one of the famous quotes from Jane Eyre is when she says, "Reader, I married him." And in this book, the famous quote instead is, "Reader, I murdered him." So I'm really interested to see what Lindsay Fay does with the story of Jane Eyre and how she kind of turns it into this serial killer thing, because that just really has me intrigued. It should be a lot of fun. Next up is a horror novel that I have heard lots and lots of things about that I think I'm going to read this summer because it seems like it's a good summer read. That is The Ruins by Scott Smith. This is about two American couples go on this vacation to Mexico, and they are kind of exploring the Mayan ruins, I believe, and they uncover some sort of evil, baddie, insidious nastiness. And yeah, that sounds like a good time to me. I've heard this is a really good book, and I know they made it into a movie, but I purposely have not seen the movie because I want to read the book first. Next up, I picked up We Were the Mulvaneys by Joyce Carol Oates. I have always wanted to read Joyce Carol Oates and have never read her. And this is one that I keep seeing everywhere, and I know they made this into, I think, a Lifetime movie that I haven't seen, but I will probably watch once I read the book. But it's about a family living in a small town in New York State, and something happens to the family. It doesn't say what, but something happens that affects the community and this family, and it's something that they kind of try to brush under the rug and don't talk about, and how that event and the way that they handled it affects this family. So yeah, it sounds like obviously a lot of family drama and stuff, but I've heard that Joyce Carol Oates is a wonderful writer, and I really want to check her out, so I figured I would get this book. Next up, I have Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. This is one that I've heard quite a few booktubers talk about and say that they really loved it. It is a historical fiction about a Japanese geisha, and it's kind of her tell-all, I guess you could say, about what it's like to be a geisha. So yeah, I don't really know anything more than that, but I still want to check it out when I'm in the mood for like a historical fiction type of book. Another historical fiction book I picked up that was very buzzy a few years ago is The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows. This is one I picked up because I think we are possibly going to be reading this for my local book club. So when I saw it, I figured why not. I also am interested in reading this because it is an epistolary novel, and I like to kind of switch things up occasionally and read books that are told in a different way, and so that kind of has me interested. This is a World War II historical fiction about the island of Guernsey and how it was affected during World War II as far as the German occupation is concerned. And it, like I said, it's epistolary, so it's all told through letters. So yeah, I will read this eventually when we decide to read it for my local book club. Okay, and then the last few books that I have are all nonfiction books. I found a lot of good nonfiction books at this sale, which makes me really happy because I've never really had much luck in that department with this book sale. As large as it is, the nonfiction section never really had anything for me until today. The first one I picked up is The Hot Zone by Richard Preston, and this is a terrifying book about Ebola. You know, the really nasty Ebola virus, and it basically chronicles like its origins, and how, I don't know if it's about how it came over to America or how they stopped it from coming over to America. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, I'm a tiny bit of a germaphobe, and so this, I feel like this is gonna scare the crap out of me. Like, it's gonna give me nightmares because I mean, I can't even handle like when I hear someone has the flu or like a stomach bug, I start to freak out. So you talk about Ebola. whew, this is gonna be a tough read for me. The next nonfiction book I picked up is all because of Katie over at Girl About Library. So Katie, thank you for, you know, opening my eyes to this book, because when I saw it at the sale, I definitely picked it up because of you, girl, so thank you. That book is The 57 Bus by Dashka Slater. This is about two teenagers who are riding a bus, the 57 bus, and basically a hate crime occurred. And it chronicles what happened and kind of tries to explain why. It deals a lot with race and social class. And yeah, Katie had nothing but good things to say about this, so when I saw it, I had to pick it up. Okay, I have two more books to talk about, two more nonfiction books, and the first one is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. I picked this up because this was like a really popular book for a while there, and I have been wanting to read it, so when I saw it at the library sale, I had to get it. It's very dense, though. It's a very heavy paperback, which is, I don't know, it's weird. But anyways, this is about a serial killer that was wreaking havoc during the Chicago World's Fair in the late 1800s. So it's all about that. And then I think, if I remember right, there is something where, I don't know if it's dealt or talked about in this book, but I thought I heard somewhere that they tried to, there is speculation that the killer from this time at the World's Fair may have also been Jack the Ripper over in England. Like, it was the same person that, because the crimes didn't occur at the same time but were very similar, and it was possible that it could have been the same person. So that's kind of interesting and scary, and yeah, I think I'm really gonna like this one. And then the last book I have is another like kind of true crime kind of book, and it is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I'm sorry. This is about I believe it's about a murder that happened in Savannah, Georgia, in this kind of renowned big house. I can't remember what the house was called. I've heard about it. Hold on, I'm gonna figure it out. Mercer House. There you go. And so it kind of deals with that case, but it also talks about just the area, the town of Savannah, and things that were going on, I believe, is what it kind of also turns into in this book. So I'm interested, and I really like this cover. I don't know what it is about this cover, but I really like it, and it kind of draws me in for some reason. So yeah, I've been kind of eyeing this book for a while too, so when I saw it, I had to pick it up. Yes, so I got quite the stack of books here, guys, and I went a little crazy because I haven't bought like any books all year, other than my birthday haul, like that I did, when was that, a couple weeks ago or whatever. Other than that, and my book of the month books, I haven't bought any books this year, so I've been doing pretty good. But I'm really excited about these. I paid for all of these books, and then I bought two little chapter books for Leia, but they're at my mom's house, because my mom wanted to have some just to kind of keep at her house for her. So these books and then those two little chapter books, I paid $13 for all of them. So I mean, whew, you can't beat it. So yeah, it was a good morning. It was a good morning just browsing through the books. I loved it. So please let me know down below if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. Which books do you think I should prioritize and try to read as soon as possible? I would love to hear all of your thoughts. But other than that, that is all I have. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.